And so I say, hello and welcome to Spiritual Advice from a Barbarian Lunatic. We have October the middle, 15th, on my way to... Right, I don't know. There's this ignorance of dogs being potentially aggressive. And I don't understand why. I mean, I always make sure if there's a dog, if there's a human, you know, when I'm walking a dog, I make sure that the dog walks on the other side. Because that's the real problem these days, that people use dogs as a protective barrier towards other humans. Protective barrier in terms of, or a connector, right? Like using a dog as, you know, I wag my tail and I look friendly so that other people will talk to me. Or you push your dog, you know, you like let him pull on the leash and you make sure that the dog is always between you and the human so that you have a form of protection. You know, this is like, okay, it's one way to deal with fear, but it's a very unconscious way. You know, it's like, it's the path of ignorance, unless you have heard this now, right? And you can't ignore it anymore. You can't ignore the fact anymore. But what does it mean you can't ignore him anymore? You can't ignore him. You can't ignore him anymore, any less than you can ignore yourself anymore. I don't know, I was on the verge of collapsing into tears. Not my tears though, but the tears of, you know, let's call them enemies of old. And I have deliberately stayed away from the Boulder Hall for some time, simply due to the reason that I wasn't sure about my motives of going there, and I had the feeling I needed to spend time with other people. And then I always get to this point where I say, yo, I think I need to chill, because the people I've been spending so much time with are starting to weigh on me, and that's the truth. Because my thoughts are usually more or less light. And I realize that I spend a lot of time with people, and most people's thoughts are really heavy. And I just make sure that my thoughts are light and everybody else is so heavy, and I don't fucking get it. Like, can't you just take responsibility for your own thoughts? Right? I mean, how stupid are you that you can't even hear yourself in all that shit that you dump on yourself? And then you have to say, yeah, you have to be careful how you talk from now on. It's like, sorry, what? I have to be what? I have to be careful? I have to be careful? You know, I'm the most careful guy you will ever meet. But every time I spend time with people, I realize everybody's so sensitive because they're so whiny and so stuck in their comfort zone and this fake reality that everybody creates for themselves, where they are the only one that's always doing a good job, right? And then I come day after day and after day, and I spend time with you, and I feel like you help me, and then I help you, and then you forget, or it looks like you forget, right? It's like, I don't know, is there nothing to give anymore? Is there no peace anymore? You know, at that point, when there's just rage, you know, when I've pushed your boundaries too far, right? I just say, you know, I'll just take some time apart. And then you say, You know, is that the way to go? You know, is this how you spend time with people? And then you say, yeah, because, right, there are no real friends. And that's my really honest and true opinion. Friends are a delusion. Nobody is my friend. The only people that spend time with me are the people that see value in my company. And that only works to a certain degree. Because if I lose myself in the ideas of friendship, such as it has been portrayed in series like TV shows like How I Met Your Mother, then I fail to realize, or I fail to see how much I can benefit from spending time on my own. Because if you think about it, like, let's just talk about How I Met Your Mother. I actually thought I had to watch the series again, you know, buy it and then watch it, and then you realize I've already watched it. Like, it's like 9 seasons. I mean, am I supposed to watch everything I watched before again? You say, well, you could do it, but in the time where I sit or stand around watching something, you know, I could also do something else that is actually more beneficial to life. You know, life not just as me as, you know, I'm a worker. You know, if you identify yourself with your job, you're screwed. I mean, I identify, oh, you're saved. You know, that's the question. So you have to pick a job that you like. You know, if you don't feel like studying, if you don't feel like talking a lot, which I absolutely understand, what I tell you is pick a job, you know, that you like. You know, I've tried jobs. I've worked in a factory. I've worked as a postman. You know, I tried working in the forestry department. And then I studied. Why did I study? Because I didn't like the idea of working, really. So I tried to wiggle myself out of working. Yeah, you just go study. Well, apparently I was good at studying. You get it? Because I managed. I mean, I have 3 degrees, which is a master's degree, which is first a bachelor's degree in environmental protection, and then I have a Bachelor of Honors Science degree in Bachelor Honors of Science degree in wildlife, which I did in South Africa. And then I have a Masters of Science degree, which I also did in South Africa. And the 3 of these degrees make then a series of experiences that I can use to help people to understand where they're stuck. Because my life has granted me with a completely different perspective than anyone else, which is true for everyone, because your perspective is always unique, right? There is no we all agree. It doesn't exist. You know, I've tried to agree with people for years. It does not exist. The only thing we can agree on is that we probably will disagree. You know, I can only get to the point where somebody can understand why I have a different perspective. And this is when, you know, the little kid that left to study, that was transformed into something else, and that came back after 9 years, has a lot of time to make up for. Because he never knew, right? Or he never thought about it, because he's the kind of kid that likes to live in the moment. And he never thought about it, that he could ever turn into something like this, which is basically a step back to the little child that he used to be, when he used to be that little child that had nothing to worry about but just go to school, you know, and just You know, try to stay alive. You know, yeah, sometimes you just have to spit while you talk. And so, you know, I used to be like this. You know, I had basically one job, which is go to school and stay alive, you know? And I went to school and I stayed alive and I survived all of this, right? The following depression, you know, the buildup of neglect. This is not neglect in terms of, you know, I never talk to you about anything. No, this is neglect in terms of I just try to make you go away. And I've had it with women treating me like this. You know, I'm now on the verge of or accepting the truth about something which is, you know, I have needs. And the woman I thought I wanted to love was probably just a passerby on my venture to find out what I'm here to do. Like, what is my mission? What is it that I want to do? And then the answer is always, you know, do you. It's called freedom, right? That's a line from Chris Webby. It's just do you. It's called bloody freedom. And that's a very hard one, you know. It starts with freedom of speech, which I have been taught by him is the First Amendment, which is very important to me. And this is why you know, it's so easy for me to identify with Chris Webby. Now I wanted to see Donald Trump. I don't know why. I mean, he was sitting in front of all these TV cameras and he just, you know, stroked his brow with his middle finger. I mean, my art is basically an expression of, you know, what the fuck is going on, people? What the fuck is going on, people? You know, sometimes I just have to turn into Daffy Duck. Sometimes I just have to be Daffy Duck and I just have to walk around and be a bit like, you know, just babble. You know, just babble. You know, just babble without making sense, without trying to look smart. You know, you just want to go somewhere and you just want to talk without people interrupting you, and that just fucking pisses me off. That every time I spend time with people, right, they try to tell me that something needs to be happening and I don't really understand why. Yeah, so now I can't really. Okay, I'll go back. And then I'll take okay. Yeah, it's stupid. Okay, I'm just gonna go down there. You know, there was a police officer, he looked at me, he said, you know, not a very smart move, but what can I do? You know, I'm just trying to avoid being publicly denunciated and being like told you can't do what you're doing anymore. And that's probably the greatest challenge of all. And sometimes you just have to shy away from whatever you think you're doing, you know, whether that is like helping people or being whoever you think you are. The camera has the ability to keep me safe. That's what I've been realizing, right? This police officer could have said something. He could have arrested me. He could have fined me, but he just looked at me and said, you know what? Just chill. So I'm so enraged by this woman that I feel like she's just ignoring me. And I cannot pretend anymore that, you know, I want this to continue. Because I want it to stop driving me insane. And then you could say, well, if it's a relationship like that, it has the greatest potential of being an interesting endeavor for your entire life, then you say, yeah, you know, do I really want to go down that road? Do I really want to, you know, open up to a relationship that's literally ups and downs? And then I realized, well, that's my life. You know, whether I smoke cannabis or not, I'm always surfing. You know, in order to surf, there's a point that I have made already numerous times in my works. You know, I have expressed it artistically with basically almost no words, and I have expressed it, probably written about it. You know, this is why I talk about depression as one part of one phase of learning how to be in constant flow. And it's almost impossible, you know, I'm telling you, to be in constant flow. It's almost impossible to be in a constant state of flow. You know, I have tried. I'm an Aquarius. If I don't know how to be in constant flow, I mean, who's supposed to teach me how to be in flow, right? It's like, you know, I'm an Aquarius. I'm flow. I mean, I'm the bloody, you know, like physical expression of water. So who's supposed to tell me how to be? And I'm a snake. I mean, I've been born in '89. I'm a snake, right? That's my Chinese zodiac. I'm a snake. You know, I kind of know what I'm doing. And every time I go, I basically ascend, or I ascend upon people. And I'm trying to tell them, you know, what I'm here to do and what I'm doing. And then we have conversations, and then they're looking for someone that they can discredit. Because in order to give credit to themselves, they have to discredit somebody else so that they can keep saying, you know, I'm the one that making sense, you know, I'm smarter than you. That's like competition. So I've been spending the last couple of weeks, we've been debating a lot. And you know, it's kind of nice, but at some point you just say, you just leave me the fuck out of it. I'm not here to only speak German. I speak English for a reason, because it's a much more gentle language. You know, there's a reason why, you know, the thinkers, oh shit, I'm opening up to women. But the question is, if there is a woman that can actually, you know, punch me, you know, like, I can take quite a punch. So if a woman would want to, you know, jump on me, she'd have to be exactly like, you know, she'd have to like sweep me off my feet. And the question, maybe I should sweep her off the feet. But the thing is, I have tried to sweep women off her feet already so many times, and maybe I'm already sweeping her off her feet. You know, maybe every woman that meets me knows, you know, he's taken. Because I've been realizing things that are too big to express to someone who thinks that, you know, a car is solid matter, or your fingertips are solid matter. Everything's vibrating on an insane level. And that's a realization I've had because I never stand still and I always push through. And because, you know, I have people that you may consider friends and that right now I'm walking away from. But it's actually not true, because what I'm actually doing, you know, now I have a concept in my mind where I say, I'm abandoning my friends. You know, I'm abandoning my friends because, you know, they've been picking on me. No, you can say, no, we had a debate, we had a philosophical discussion to strengthen our minds. And we have used cannabis and tobacco, right, and some even alcohol, because they really need to loosen up, right, to speak about, yeah, you know, whatever psychedelics. I don't know, I'm not advertising. And I'm not saying you have to do this. I certainly agree that the experiences that we have with cannabis, or that you may have with substances like MDMA or mushrooms, are not a guarantee. Like, the experiences we have are greatly shaped by my training that I had throughout life. Because the reason I'm a benefit or an asset to the people that I live with is that I have been basically worked. I mean, I have been forced, I don't know, by the peculiar situations of my life. I have been forced to accept certain teachings, or, you know, lest I be destroyed by my own ignorance. So I realized I was too stupid to live. So I needed to gather insights and to make experiences so I would toughen up. You know, I had to most of all train my will and my mind to be like precise and sharp, like honing, like, you know, you have to sharpen the sword of your mind so that you can cut through the destructive tendencies of your own lies. And one of these lies is people always tell the truth. You know, it's like, just because I tell the truth doesn't mean other people do. And now the question is, what is truth? And the answer is, unavoidably, it's a momentary perspective that is being supported by the facts that you have gathered until now, which form your opinions. And the facts that you've gathered are being basically shaped, like, what are the facts? By the experiences you've made thus far. It's like the things that you think you know, which is your horizon, are the things that you think you know are the horizon that you see, let's say, each day. You know, you look at life the way it is through the glasses that you've been put on by the circumstances of your upbringing, right? That's the glasses you've been put on. So depending on, let's say, how far your parents were in being able to communicate to you, you know, what they've realized in life. Because what most parents, you know, you see your parents, they're at a certain stage. That's communication. They will not come and tell you, hey son, hello sonny, you know, that's the stage I'm at. They will never say that, you know. They're just gonna show you. But now the question comes, how conscious are they about this stage they're in? And then you realize they're not conscious at all of it. At least they haven't been, because they were not able to see themselves from the third person inside, which is also a perspective or a way of expressing how you feel about the observer and the higher wisdom and shit, like the higher mind, which is the basically, yeah, the third person in the room. It's like the camera that I can imagine all the time, that's like circling around, you know, looking, you know, keeping the child in the room, which is the observer basically. You know, it's just there looking, how does it look like? Okay, does something have to be improved? And not, you know, the third person inside is like, it's true. What's the third person inside? You know, there's this guy, Christopher, and he's running around, he's recording himself, and he's talking about life. And while Christopher walks around recording himself, talking about life, he realizes that there are other people. And these people, they look at him like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I mean, everybody is doing something that they think is the right thing to do. Like, I don't know, let's say somebody who works in the financial department thinks it's really important. You know, finance is really important, you know. I have to work in finance. It's really important to work in finance. And you say, nah, you know, I have no interest in that. But you have interest in, let's say, creating a lot of content. And the only thing that's important to me, I literally do not give a crap about anything else. I don't give a crap about creating websites. You know, that's for people that create websites. I don't give a crap about creating websites. You know, I've created my own website, I like it. But if it comes to like programming stuff, to build websites, you know, I've got nothing. You know, I can work with HTML, but what I really learned is to focus on what I do best. And sometimes I'm still stuck in thinking there are certain things that I have to do until I realize, what else could I do then? I mean, what else is there to do for me? You know, he who has been sent into the world by his own intuition, which is this kind of guidance that says, go there, and then you say, oh, okay. You know, that's like the moment that I don't remember from the show, that I have no idea how it's called at the moment. I suppose it's Rick and Morty. Oh yeah, it's like, Beth, you know, if you would like to have me, I would certainly love to have you. And then Beth says, you know what? And then she gives him this nudge on the shoulder. Oh, okay. And then you say, yeah, Jerry. No wonder everybody sees you as a slug. Because you could be doing other things, right? I mean, nobody's forcing you to drive a car. Sit in there and listen to music. You know, no matter how far the walk is, you could go wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go. And you could just do so without a car. That's just a fact. That's just a fact, and that's just such a simple truth. And I've just realized that I hate buses, but I like walking. Because what's the point of taking a bus, right? What's the point of taking a car? First of all, it costs money. It makes the air smell dirty. It's really noisy and loud. And you force people because you pay for a service. You know, there's this guy that has to drive around in the bus. It's like, you know, no matter how much he likes his occupation as a bus driver, I've never seen a bus driver in my life that looks happy after 30 years of service. But I've seen people that started doing Daffy Duck is back. Certainly, let's just spit it all out, you know. Daffy Duck, I think he's the best character. Fucking glass, you know. It's like, why are there videos out there? You know, I remember deliberately a video about a guy who put a light bulb in his rear and then let it implode. And all the blood coming. You know, why did I have to watch stuff like this? Like, what does the internet really give me? Like, me as a human being, what does the internet really do for me specifically? Okay, you know, I try to see everything, you know, good, bad, the middle. Good, bad, the middle, the center. You know, I'm reaching too far into the future now, right? So I have to fill the gaps. Yo, that's a tiny car. You know, I can have a blast. I can have a blast about anything. You know, I'm just telling you. You know, I can have a blast about anything, even the way I talk. You know, when I'm having a conversation about anything at all, you know, I try to talk with myself in the most friendly way that I can. And sometimes people try to reach out to me through telepathy, which is something that absolutely works. Or, you know, we have to give credit to the beings that can do things that you never thought were possible. I mean, I've just realized that people do things that I don't know they do. And maybe I have to clean the slate, maybe of some of my past relationships, simply because I have the feeling that my life is being destroyed by angry women that I crossed and that are sending me irresponsible thoughts, which is a clear sign of ignorance, where they just sent me destructive thoughts simply because they think I wronged them. Well, they may have wronged me, and then I have the job to get back to loving them. But I don't know how to do that, because I always had the feeling that love stands in direct connection, almost belongs together with having sex. You know, making up, having sex. But what I realized is that having sex is actually sometimes the best way to confuse things, while at the same time it's probably the safest way of deconfusing yourself. Because I feel confused. I mean, just think about my situation. I came out of a relationship and this woman had a child. I like to be specific about these things, because I try to understand what this means. I feel like my mind has been screwed with. And I really mean that. My mind has been screwed with people that were holding ayahuasca ceremonies. They have screwed with my mind, literally. And there were times where I did not know what was going on anymore. And I spent time with people and I spoke to them. And, you know, I lived with shamans. And there were times, and now the question, you know, when the mind starts to realize that there are very few things to hold on to, you know, such as, you know, let's talk about what's going on, right? I mean, am I talking to myself? You know, is this, as we see it portrayed in Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, end of the world, world's end, the third one, where Johnny Depp is having a discussion, you know, he's like in basically, it's not purgatory, it's like the void or something. I don't know what this desert, you know, at world's end is supposed to really be. You know, maybe it's just the desolation of the mind. It's like, you know, that's how I feel. I mean, it's basically, in a way, it's oneness, isn't it? I don't know. But it's just Johnny Depp, and he's trying to work. Okay, now it's getting interesting. Now it's really getting interesting. He's trying to work or get a ship to move. He's trying to move a ship. Who is too large for you? Which woman is too large for me? That's a very good question. Which woman is too large for me? One of the first anime that I fell in love with was Princess Mononoke. And then the question is, am I Prince Ashitaka? You know, like the last prince of my line? Is my line supposed to die out? You know? Or am I like, you know, am I trying to pass on the knowledge of my predecessors, which is everyone I met in my entire life, which includes the shamans. You know, vaporizers are turning into some kind of obsession with people. You know, stop smoking these things. It's very, very bad. You don't even know what that stuff is doing in yourself. And I don't know what's true anymore. I feel like people were trying to have a hold on me because they wanted to claim me for their own purpose, right? There's this young woman that actually wanted to be a part of, you know, these fancy self-help people. You know, I don't really care what they do. What I know is I don't like them. That's all I have to know. And the question is, why don't I like them? Well, simply because I don't know. They never even tried to let go of the idea that they know everything, right? You know, I know that what I know is temporarily. It's temporary until somebody comes and teaches me something else. Which is why, if I thought I met my wife just because I said the next woman I sleep with is gonna be my wife, if I know that, then, you know, how hard do I need to convince myself that I really know this? And can other people try to distract me from me knowing this? And what do I really know? Like, do I really know this? And isn't knowing it because I want it to be true, because I'm sick of opening up to other women, which is actually something that sickens me more. You know, it's like eating the chicken, because I thought, you know, I'm in that age now where I have to be like, you know, straight edge. You know, I'm waiting for this one specific woman, and then you realize, what the fuck are you talking about, man? You know, you just passed her. You just passed her on to someone else, and it's making me sad to say that. It's even making me sad to say that. You see, now I talk about it, how do I feel again? Now I suddenly start coming back to my senses, because people have been trying to mess with my mind, because I still know who I'm in love with and who I'm indebted to, because I have the feeling she's been guiding me all this time. You know, and if you remember correctly, in the third Pirates of the Caribbean, what happens is Johnny Depp is on the Black Pearl, and he's split into all winds. You know, his consciousness is like 20 versions of himself, and all are a bit insane. You see, his parts are scattered, you know, across whatever the ship is, right? It's a representation for something, right? It's like, you know, his desire, you know, that's the room he wanted to occupy, and his soul is literally bonded to the Black Pearl for whatever reason. You know, maybe that's the real Davy Jones in there, right? Johnny Depp, or Captain Jack Sparrow, who has fallen in love with the Black Pearl. With the Black Pearl, and he's doing everything he can to, you know, stay with the Black Pearl. And that's just something that I feel like we should take into consideration. But what gets him out of the desert and back to the shore, electric cars, still think that's a good idea, eh? And maybe it is, right? Who's supposed to say? I mean, there's no point in, you know, judging that. You know, I don't really give a fuck. But, you know, the F word, it's just, you know, it's just a word. You just get used to it. But sometimes people have to do things, I don't quite like it, and then I react. Sometimes I just want to flip people a finger. The best thing would probably be to just ignore them and go about my business. But that's what I think of you, you know, I just channel it back into your face. That's what the middle finger stands for. You don't just flip someone the middle finger. And if you get angry of me showing you the middle finger for your behavior, well, then you're just ashamed. And then you have to work with yourself, on yourself, with yourself, on yourself, right? Because what Johnny Depp, you know, he was just running around there. But what brought him back to the shore were the crabs. And the crabs undoubtedly were sent by Calypso, who was the ocean, like the spirit of the ocean, which is nature, which is like, you know, it's like one god of nature or whatever, or it's nature. Calypso is like the storm, it's the sea, it's femininity, you know, it's scary and it's beautiful, you know, it's like a woman, you know? And she, that's the way I envision, because I do believe that when they hired Johnny Depp, they had no idea what was going on. But he certainly had an impact on the creation of this movie. Just, you know, when he started to do his acting, you know, I listened to some interviews, he said, you know, they thought, what is he doing? Like, is he supposed to be gay? He just did his thing. And they, like, you know, probably they started to stop him. What are you doing? You're supposed to be like some kind of hard-ass pirate. And what he probably said, sorry, but do you know what a pirate is? You know, a pirate is supposed to be drunk on rum most of the time. You know, a pirate is supposed to be drunk on rum most of the time. You know, they don't talk about smoking weed or anything. They were just drunk on rum. You know, that's the story. They drank, you know, a bottle full of rum. Whether that ever existed is hard to say. There's probably cultures that lived like this. And Johnny Depp was thinking about, you know, he put a lot of work into how would a drunk character be. And he started to live it. And he lived it already, probably. That's rock and roll. You know, drunken master. That's what Jack Sparrow stands for. And that's what a pirate would have been like. That completely followed his intuition. You know, he was looking for eternity and he wanted to do it. He wanted to sail the ocean for the rest of his life on the Black Pearl. You know, that's the spirit of an adventurer who just places all his cards, you know, his full deck, his full hand that he has been dealt, which is himself, which is all the parts that he can remember or find. You know, it's like, that's the collective spirit of the seeker, the spiritual avenger, the spiritual, you know, sadhana, whatever, I don't give a crap. It's yoga. It's figuring out where you want to be, right? It's figuring out where you want to be and why you want to be there, and then trying to get there in the best way that you can imagine. You know, so he wanted to sail the ocean on the Black Pearl and then either go down with her or just, you know, live on. You know, these things went together, and so in my mind there's this woman which to me is bigger and vaster than all the women that I've met before, and she basically outshines everyone else. Why is that? Because her light, the sun of herself, because we are all, you know, radiating our light. We're sparkling for each other, for ourselves. But I believe that everyone has a counterpart. If you are an expression of femininity, then there is an expression of your own masculinity. And you don't know how that's gonna hit you. I mean, look at Ramdas. Just the story of him, you know, just what happened to him. He was stuck with this old man. And for him, it was right. You know, when I started listening to Ramdas, I thought I'd fucking hate it. why would I sit around talking to that guy, right? My challenge is partly mastering, I don't know, sexuality is something that I'm trying to attract into my life. And the truth is, the true truth, there cannot be just one. But at the same time, there's an insane kind of fear that if I would sleep with another woman now, she just would bite off my cock. And then you say, no, I wouldn't do that, you know? I would just cheat on you. I don't trust any women with my testicles as long as I think they may be hiding some kind of contempt. And if you've been kind of slutty before, I mean, you can change. I get that. I think when we met it was bad. But I don't know who I'm supposed to be with, right? I don't really know who I was with. I do realize that there are thoughts that are trying to discriminate against this woman where I feel like still know that she's it. And then the question is why? And what would happen if I would give in to another woman? Because now, you know, I've been holding on to her as long as I can remember. So I think what you need always is something to anchor yourself with. Now, I don't feel, you know, 100%. I know I keep saying to people, you know, I really like it here and I want to stay. But the truth is, I actually really want to leave. You know, that's the true truth. I actually really want to leave. And that's a fact. You know, I really want to leave. And that's a fact.